Hello and welcome to the program. India is known for its hospitality, whether it is picturesque locations, culinary delights, arts, sports, music, culture. India attracts everyone across the globe. Worldwide, the COVID pandemic has caused disruptions, but then disruptions lead to innovations too. What are the emerging opportunities when we talk about entrepreneurship in the hospitality sector? To help us understand this topic, I am now joined on the program by three young hospitality professionals. Please welcome Prakshi Heda, Ayush Singh, and Archit Jain. Namaskar and welcome everyone. So let me begin by asking you, Prakshi, a lot of people think when we talk about hospitality, it's about hotel business. So what is hospitality sector all about and how has the canvas broadened in the recent times?
I totally agree with you. Everyone thinks that hospitality industry is only limited to hotels, resorts, restaurants, cafes, but it is not so. Hospitality industry extends beyond that and has emerging fields like banking sector, consultancy services, airlines, retail outlets, etc. I 60% of the market is still dominated by hotels and resorts though, but these new industries such as cloud kitchens, hamper business are very much in the market right now. And after pandemic, I think everyone has understood the value of quality in their life. So I would say people have stopped going to normal hotels only to stay in a room. They want to have an experience. So I think with these new sectors and new emerging businesses, people have started loving the fact that new entrepreneurs have started giving them new experiences.
Absolutely. That's what the tourist wants. That's what an average consumer wants when you talk about hospitality, a real life experience. Interestingly, you mentioned about cloud kitchen. Are you saying help our viewers understand? We know about the kitchen, but what is cloud kitchen all about?
Thank you for the introduction, sir. So I think all of you must have been to a restaurant in life some or the other time. But have you ever been to a cloud kitchen? I don't think so, because it does not exist in the physical terms. So cloud kitchen is basically an internet restaurant, typically which you can only order from portals like Zomato, Swiggy, or their own online portal. So as the pandemic has come in, we have seen a lot of cloud kitchens emerge. And a cloud kitchen is basically a kitchen which operates on only delivery basis model. So that is all about cloud kitchen. And yes.
So Archit, would you say that it's because of the increased technology that's associated now with the hospitality that we've got something like a cloud kitchen? People can order using their mobile, and that is what helps this business model?
I think so, yes. Because of the increased reliance on technology, as well as the sudden boom in the technology sector that we've seen in the last 5 years, be it Reliance coming up with Jio, be it most of India becoming reliant on these no contact payment methods like Paytm, like Google Pay. India has really seen a big digital transformation, which has definitely helped a lot of emerging businesses like cloud kitchens, obviously, but it has also helped these delivery businesses like grocery deliveries or Dunzo apps or Zomato and Swiggy deliveries.
Yes. Ayush, you wanted to add?
So I completely agree with Arch's point. I feel cloud kitchen is the future. As with restaurant setting up, you need a lot of capital. I think restaurant is a very capital intensive business, and cloud kitchen can operate on its, I think, 1% of restaurant's price. Setting up only a kitchen and marketing that, selling your own food is much easier than setting up your own physical location restaurant and then doing all that. So I feel these days people can really venture into cloud kitchen business as it's much cheaper to operate. It requires much less capital to open the cloud kitchen business and much easier to market with the Swiggy and Zomato coming in.
Okay. Prakshi, coming back to the staple diet, that hotel is still a major chunk of the hospitality sector. Do you think post-pandemic, maybe young entrepreneurs can explore small-scale hotel businesses? What innovations can happen in that space?
Post pandemic, I think all of us have learned the value of nature. So nowadays we don't want to go to city hotels and spend our time or our weekends there. We want to go somewhere related to nature or experience what other people are doing. So I would like to start with, why not having a igloo based hotel in Manali? A young person like me can always rent a land, and it's a seasonal business. I do understand, and there's a lot of risk if I start, as I'm in my early 20s. But if I have the vision and the dedication to start an igloo business on a rented land in Manali and creating an experience for all the Indians and foreigners who want to come and experience how Eskimos live in snow, I think it's a wonderful idea one person can shoot up. Second, I would also like to add villas. Now, people have started loving their privacy. No one wants to go into where a lot of people are there because everyone is scared that they might catch COVID or they'll have this strain. So they want to enjoy with their own family. So having a villa nearby nature, they want to have, which has amenities like pool, sauna, steam bath, whatever hotels or resorts offer. It becomes very easier for the entrepreneur also to start because it requires relatively less capital, and it doesn't have a lot of risk involved.
Okay, but Archit, one gets the apprehension that if I were to venture into, say, hotel space, even if it's small scale, maybe there'll be a lot of compliances, a lot of licenses. Is that the case?
With hotels, I think there are a lot of licenses and compliances that do need to be taken care of. Things like if you do want to serve liquor on the premises, then you will need a liquor license, you will need a food safety license, you will need obviously a GST registration, and obviously there are a whole lot of safety regulations and licenses that you need to get as well. So
Okay.
even with a small scale hotel, I think a lot of these compliances do need to be adhered.
So, Prakshi, in terms of the services that is offered by a hospitality professional like yourself, do you also handhold the entrepreneurs in terms of the licensing work?
Definitely, now with the help of technology, it's become very easy to get a license on board. It doesn't take a lot of time, and the entrepreneur or the owner of the hotel or a villa does not have to keep going to government offices to get a license. They can apply online, and it's a very easy process now, and it becomes very easier, and you get the license in very less time.
Okay.
So
Ayush, I wonder that if somebody wants to start a cloud kitchen, if I cook good food at home and have delivery of it to my consumers, do I also need some kind of license?
Right. So to open a cloud kitchen, basically you need small spaces of kitchens, and yes, you're right, you need licenses as well. So there's a FSSAI license, which is a food safety license. There's a fire license which you need. You need a GST license also as well. I feel, but these days there are companies which provide all this, and you only need your own utensils and your chefs to start your own business. So you can partner with them. Some of my friends are doing this too. So this is a very booming space, I feel.
Okay. Arjit, you mentioned about hamper business as well. We've heard about this word hamper when we appear in some contest and it brings a smile to our face. But what is hamper business and what's the scope in this area?
So a hamper business is sort of, I'm sure a number of you may have seen Coffee with Karan, where he gets these hampers and he gives them these coffee hampers and he gives them to the guests of the show. So it's sort of like that, where all of these hampers are sort of customizable in terms of who you want to give it to, what exactly the contents will be, as well as it can be customized to the point that you can have it for a bridal shower, a wedding party, a birthday party, an anniversary, anything like that. So the scope, in fact, is endless. And if you want to get into the hamper business, you actually don't need to apply for a lot of these licenses. All you really need is a GST registration, as well as registering your business with the government. So
Okay.
in that way, it's a very low input sort of a.
Okay, so in terms of capital need, maybe we don't require too much of capital, but Prakshi, would you say that one requires a lot of networking for hamper business?
Yes, I do agree to that. Even if you need relatively less capital to start a hamper business, but networking and social media presence and what you show to the guest is very important, and that is also a part of capital itself, because you're investing in photographers, you're investing in good backgrounds to cater for good photos of your hampers so that people see and get attracted and want to buy that. So if you have a very good network of people and you start getting corporate clients, I think it's a very big business and it will really boom up in coming time.
So Prakshi, do tell our viewers more about the digital marketing. What kind of services could they avail from young professionals like your team? Because today, social media presence is so very important.
So I do believe there are a lot of people, a person like my mom, if she's very interested in opening a cloud kitchen or anything, but she's only good at cooking, she doesn't know a lot about social media and how to promote her brand. So what she maximum she does is registers herself on Zomato and Swiggy. But with the help of Facebook page, Instagram page, email marketing, it becomes very easy for other people also to know about your brand, and it spreads brand awareness and people keep knowing what new things are coming up with the hotel or the cloud kitchen or etc. So it is very important to have a social media presence in nowadays, because no one likes to read a lot of mails, no one likes to go to a shop and see what is there. But if you see it on Instagram or if you see it on Facebook, WhatsApp, you it immediately clicks and it's always at the back of your mind. So whenever you have a requirement, you are directly in contact with the person. You don't have to go to a shop physically. So it becomes very easy. So that is what we offer, like social media presence, how to increase sales, how to increase the visibility, how to increase the reach. Because I don't think a person like my mom can could invest so much of time doing that, because then she'll lose out on cooking. She should only work and invest her time in cooking. The rest of it can be handled by professionals like us. And she should not worry about her visibility or how to increase more sales.
I think that's a very good point, Ayush, that if I am good at cooking, I should invest significant time in my core competency and probably look out for a hospitality professional like Ayush Singh to help me with my social media, my financial management, and my connect with the consumers.
Yes, I completely agree with that. With the entrepreneur coming in the food business these days, I think one should only focus on the food business, the quality of the food, and leave the rest to us or people more like us. I feel, with this social media coming in, I think everyone on their phones have, 4 or 5 apps like Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, and Twitter, which they first download, when someone gets a new phone. So I think that is how widespread the social media reach is. So I think you having a good presence on social media will always enhance your sales, your business. That's what I feel.
So as entrepreneurs, Archit Jain, are you also looking at 2nd tier, 3rd tier cities? Because probably we have a lot of online businesses available in the metropolitan cities. So you mentioned about the online grocery store. Maybe in Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, it's already there. So are you saying there is more possibility in the 2nd and 3rd tier cities?
So definitely for the 2nd and 3rd tier cities like smaller cities like Jaipur, smaller cities like say Ajmer or a Jodhpur or an Udaipur, these cities will have very limited reach in terms of their big basket or their Amazon pantry or their grofers or things like that. So what people have really come up with, especially during the lockdown, during the pandemic, is a localized grocery delivery system where they buy items and they keep them for a limited stock, and they sell to a small locality or a small localized area of, say, maybe 5 to 12 kilometers. They may have 1 or 2 delivery boys, maybe themselves as a delivery executive, and depending on the orders, they may take them on social media, they may take them through a website or an app that costs very minimal amounts these days to develop, and very minimal effort as well to develop these days.
Okay.
So online grocery delivery is definitely a very good option for small.
Yes. Yes, Prakshi.
So in pandemic, last year, I remember only my dad used to move out every time to buy any grocery item or my fruits or anything. Like he had told us that you can't even move an inch out of the house because we all were so scared. So with the help of grocery delivery services in small cities, it makes it easier for us also, because I would always be scared that my dad is going out and he is obviously so elderly that he has more chances of getting COVID than me. But he is always going to be scared and not let his children come out. So, with the help of this kind of business or this setup, it makes it easier for any family to stay inside safely and let the others do their work that they are good at and provide them the opportunity to show their skills too.
Okay. Revenue is very important for an entrepreneur. So is cost cutting. Are you saying, do you think that as a part of the services package, you guys focus on that part as well?
Actually, yes, we do. So I feel revenue management is a very undermined skill, in these days. So, an entrepreneur really focus on sales, sales, sales. But when it comes to revenue management, I don't really think they focus a lot on that. So, in one line, if I could explain, revenue management is, it is this skill of optimizing your own revenue, getting more sales from people. So you have different channels like corporate, leisure, from which you can generate sales. But having professionals for that is very, very important. And yes, that is what I feel. And yes.
Okay. And Archit, because you talked about increased digital footprint, whether online grocery store or online other businesses, do you think that data becomes very crucial? So as an analyst, it's important that we also filter the data and analyze the data to know how we can target the audience.
Definitely, with online businesses especially, it has become a very crucial part who you're going to advertise to, who you're going to market to, especially for things like a cloud kitchen or an online delivery grocery service. You need to know the market you're catering to. For example, a cloud kitchen may want to focus more on, say, single people rather than families. They may want to focus on students. Grocery delivers may want to focus on old people living separately or alone or away from their families. So with the digital world coming in and integrating into all of this, it has become quite easy in terms of identifying who to cater to and then actually targeting your ads and targeting your marketing towards them.
Right. Prakshi, a quick word on financial management, because sometimes one thinks that, okay, if I'm an hospitality professional, finance will be taken care by somebody else. But do you think it's essential that any CEO, any entrepreneur should really understand that finance is very, very integral part of their role?
I think it's a very important part that if you don't handle your finances well, if you don't study them properly, your business will have a lot of issues at a later stage. So understanding the capital requirement, understanding what will be the structure be, if you're going to take a loan or you're going to put your own capital, how are you going to evaluate your funds and how are you going to allocate them, that is very important. If you don't allocate them properly, I think you'll have a lot of loss even at the starting, and even when you're doing well, you will not be able to get more profits. But allocating them properly makes it very easier and it increases profit of the business.
Okay. So even as we are almost having just 2 minutes and we have to conclude our conversation, would you say that COVID-19 protocols will be followed for months across the globe? And therefore, maybe people may be reluctant to have a dining experience at a restaurant. So cloud kitchen and all these online models are here to stay.
I definitely feel it is a very correct time to start your own business in the industry. I feel with people working from home more and more, the requirement of food. I think I personally order food from outside three to four times in a week. So I think everyone has a need, and that need needs to be fulfilled by entrepreneurs like us and more people like us. And I think it's a perfect place to start your own business in the hamper business, or be the cloud kitchen, or be anything else you want to do in the space.
Right. Archit, final words. Do you think COVID has impacted the hospitality sector, but with people taking vaccines and following appropriate protocol, perhaps the worst is over and hospitality sector will rebound very fast?
I wouldn't say very fast, but there will definitely be what people are calling revenge tourism. So, with people being cooped up in the house for almost 2 years now, people want to go out more, and people will want to sort of go out for staycations, go out for time and experiences. But that is all subject to how many people get the vaccine and uh, how quickly we can actually control them.
Okay. I like that word, revenge tourism. Prakshi, what's the way forward?
So I think now once lockdown restrictions have eased, now a person like me personally also I really want to go out for a vacation, even if it is a 2-day vacation. Like everyone is sitting home, they want to take a break from home, be it with friends, be it with family. So people would like to experience new things. Like they would like to go to a village, experience their culture, what do they do, how do they work. They would like to experience new things. Side by side, they want to keep working. So they will always be moving around, but they'll keep working on their laptop side by side. They would want to experience something that is what you don't get at home or in a physical office. So work from home is really going to increase even in coming time, even if the office is open, and people would like to move out of their homes and office spaces, and they would like to stay in nature or experience new things.
Absolutely. So if people want experience and they want to reach out for professional help, how can they contact you?
They can always contact us on this mail ID abstractthinkers@gmail.com for all the services. We also have an Instagram page right now to follow us on YouTube from the name Abstract Thinkers, and Instagram page Abstract Thinkers for more updates.
Okay. Ayush Singh, what's the future like? Do you think as an entrepreneur in the hospitality world, there will be uncertainty, but perhaps that's the biggest challenge that entrepreneur has, that you may not necessarily have a very clear picture, even if it's hazy, yet the resolve is there that to have that experience, people will come, and today we can leverage technology as a force multiplier.
I completely agree with that. I think I'm very bullish on cloud kitchens, as with the rise of COVID these days. People are eating more and more from outside. So I think if you could be smart, open a cloud kitchen here and there. If even if you fail, that doesn't matter because you learned something. I feel so. Definitely cloud kitchens, the online delivery space, the hamper business, and as Prakshi mentioned, specialty hotels are very unique experiences that people want to have after the lockdown. And that is what I feel is the future. Yes.
Absolutely. So let's conclude our conversation with some hospitality humor. I'll ask you a question, and let's see if anyone can get the right answer. Can you tell me what's the difference between paneer masala and paneer tikka masala?
Can I
Yes,
take that
Ayush.
up?
Yes.
So I think paneer tikka is in the tandoor and paneer masala is without the tandoor. So the tandoor comes into play. This time I don't think if that's the right answer. But
That's not the right direction. A good attempt though. Yes, Prakshi, Archit. Difference between paneer masala and paneer tikka masala.
So the paneer tikka masala is vaccinated.
That's the right answer. Paneer tikka masala is vaccinated. So we'll end by encouraging our viewers that if you are eligible, take the vaccine, follow the COVID appropriate protocol, and lend support to young entrepreneurs like Ayush Singh, Prakshi Heda, Archit Jain, because they are the job creators wanting to contribute to the economy. Let's have more smiles to the hospitality sector in times to come. Thank you everyone for joining and sharing your thoughts. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.